Hey, welcome back everyone. Today we're going to talk about why I haven't put out a video for 2 weeks. Hey, so welcome back everyone. Today, as you can see, I am on the Harley. We got the Harley fixed, and I got a video coming out of that pretty soon. But today I want to talk with you about the COVID. I contracted the COVID disease, and honestly, I have no idea where I got it from. So I do some traveling for work, and I had to go to, probably in the last week prior to me getting COVID, I had to go to a hospital and do some vibration on some air handlers, but I checked to make sure that place didn't have COVID, in any COVID patients in the air handlers that were feeding that I was testing. And then I also went to an ethanol plant, and I wasn't around anybody. I kept my distance when I had to talk to people, and I don't think it came from there. And then on Monday the 14th, 15th is when I started coming down with symptoms, and on the 14th I went with my brother, Iowa, and rode a motorcycle for him, and we got a video about that coming up pretty soon too. But that would probably be the only place that I can think of where I let down my guard, was closer to people than I normally am. And on Tuesday, looking hindsight, I had a little tickle in my throat and a small cough. And at the end of that Tuesday, September 15th, I came home after fixing my bike and was very chilled, very fatigued, and very dizzy. And so I went to bed that evening after not sleeping very well Monday night. And I think that's kind of one of the things that really hurt me, is my immune system was kind of drugged down from not sleeping very well on Monday night. And then Tuesday, I was attacked pretty good with this. And at the time, I thought it was just the flu. So Tuesday night, Wednesday then, I had absolutely zero energy. I was tired. I had a temperature. I was flu-like, and I had a stomach ache. My muscles were achy. I had a headache, but the big thing was the fatigue. I was just wasted. And so then my daughter, on Wednesday, I believe it was, said she wasn't feeling well. She was at college, and they were going to isolate her, so she decided to come home and had to be tested. She came home on Thursday, and then on Friday we went and got tested. On Sunday it came back and said that I was positive and that she was positive, and they gave us all the big things that you got to do. You got to isolate yourself, and the funny thing about it all was being tested meant that from 10 days from the beginning of my symptoms, I was cleared to be able to go back into the workforce and be able to be back in front of people. But my son, who lives in our house, goes to high school, wasn't positive, and he had to quarantine and isolate for 14 days. So I thought it was interesting that even though I was tested and was positive, I had only 10 days and he had 14 days. Interesting to me. But they asked me all of the different symptoms that I was having. I told them the majority of it felt like this was the flu on steroids. I was so tired. The entire 9 out of the 10 days. On the 10th day is when I didn't have a fever. I hadn't taken any aspirin to keep my fever down. But prior to that, I was taking aspirin every 6 hours just to keep my fever down. And I would go from feeling like I was kind of okay to all of a sudden I was just wiped. I would get the chills and feel like I was really cold, and then all of a sudden I would start sweating, and it kind of went on and off like that 9 out of the 10 days that I was in my quarantine. And finally, at the end of it, I started feeling better, started feeling more human, could get up and move around. One of the first days prior to, in the early of the having it, I went up to my office and tried to do some work, and just climbing the stairs to my office wore me out so much that I couldn't do anything. I answered a couple emails and then went back inside and went to bed. So that was the biggest thing that I've noticed through all of this, is it totally wiped me out. The other thing that I noticed is the further it went along, towards the end, I kind of got some shortness of breath situations, not really terribly bad. And I don't know if that was due to the fact that basically for 10 days I was bedridden, because I was just so tired. And depleted. I didn't have an appetite, and yet I had a stomach ache. So the big thing that I want to get across and say is, this COVID is a very serious disease, and it's odd in the way that it attacks you, in that it changes. So sometimes during the day I would feel okay, and then as evening would hit, I would just feel wasted. One day I came up and did some more work in my office, and then probably between like 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I just immediately went and laid down on my bed and fell asleep for 3 hours. So that was the biggest challenge, is how tired and wore out it made me. And I'm still recovering. I think I'm going to be surprised at how much lingering effects that I wind up having through this. So the other side to this is, I wasn't big on wearing a mask prior to this. I would do it if I had to, like if I had to go to Walmart or if I had to go someplace. But I would also try to avoid going to places where I had to wear masks. Going to schools, all that kind of stuff. And I think if I was a little bit more positive to wearing a mask and would just do it, I may not have gotten COVID. So the big thing I would like to tell everyone and for you to take away from this is wear your mask. The fact that I believe it would have saved me from getting it, and I will probably wear a mask from here on when I go out in public, especially in areas where I'm in different unknown areas. Maybe in my small town I may not wear a mask all the time, but when I go anywhere else I am going to wear a mask. And I don't think it's conspiracy. Like I said, I don't know where I got it from, and not knowing where it came from really concerns me, because I have been keeping my distance from people most of the time. That's the way I've been dealing with it. But I think I'm going to start wearing my mask. So, that being said, next week we'll bring back some more cool videos. And we should be back to weekly posts. So, till next time, keep the sunny side up. Keep the rubber side down, stay safe, and have an utterly awesome day.